33 Chilean miners are trapped deep inside a mine, and with few supplies, they will try to survive while their families and the authorities attempt to rescue them. That's why today, the 33. Remember that if you like the videos, you can support the channel by giving me a like, subscribing, and turning on notifications. It's free and really helps me keep growing. Now let's get started. The story begins at a village festival where we meet Mario Sepulveda. In the middle of the celebration, he asks the foreman Lucho to let him work the next day because he needs the money even though it's his day off. Alex and his pregnant girlfriend are introduced when a man offers him a job at his mechanic shop. So he can get out of the danger of the mines, but he doesn't accept because he makes more money as a miner. At that moment, we find out that the party is to celebrate Gomez's retirement. He has been working in the mines for many years, and the next day will be his last day as a miner. After this, we meet an empanada vendor named Maria who finds her brother Dario sleeping on a bench. She comes over, assuring him of her constant support, and leaves him some Chilean empanadas before departing. But Dario leaves without taking them. He then boards a bus that circles the town in search of the miners. And when he picks up Johnny, we learn about his peculiar story, with two women fighting over him. Later, they reach the Atacama Desert and the foreman. Lucho informs his boss about discovering glass on the mine's third level, which means that the mountains are moving and it's dangerous for them. It turns out that miners usually put mirrors in the cracks of the mountains to notice this kind of movement in the rocks. But his boss doesn't seem to care much because he just sends him to work. Before the workday begins, Lucho introduces a Bolivian boy as the new coworker. While some welcome him warmly, others harass him due to his nationality. Mario sits beside the new guy, noticing his fear as they enter the cave. And that's when we find out that the mine has only one exit. Is it the only entrance? The only entrance, the only exit. After an hour's truck ride, they reach the site and begin working. But soon, Lucha finds glass on the stairs and confirms that the mountain is still moving. Then an earthquake starts, and a landslide occurs on one part of the mountain, so everyone starts running. Alex rescues Dario from falling into a ravine. And when the landslides increase, the desperation to get out alive takes over them. Some are hit by rocks, but they manage to get on the truck to go to a shelter they have prepared inside the mine. Soon after, the last three of them enter the car, but the Bolivian falls and tries to run with all his strength to catch up with them, managing to get in just seconds before the mountain collapses behind him. On their way back, they run into the rest of the miners in another car, but they end up crashing into the rock wall. Then another collapse starts, sealing off the mine from the outside. When Mario wakes up after an unknown period, he finds some of his colleagues alive near him. And on the surface, the owner of the mine tries to keep the situation private, but it quickly leaks to the press, making the families find out. Meanwhile, Lucho confirms all 33 miners are alive, and he tells him that the shelter has capacity for 30 people and that the best option is to wait for rescue. But Mario doesn't agree and teams up with Alex, the Bolivian, to look for a way out. Meanwhile, the others try to make noise in the hope of being heard. The miners' families arrive at the mine's outskirts, seeking information. After 5 hours, the situation escalates out of control. It ends with shots fired into the air and a protest organized by Maria K. Meanwhile, at La Moneda Palace, the Chilean president meets with the Minister of Mines. He requests that he handle the situation himself due to the severity of what occurred. Then, the miners see that the first aid kit is empty and that the radio doesn't work. Meanwhile, Mario and Alex discover that the exit tunnel is incomplete because many stairs are missing, which means there is no way out. At that moment, the tunnel starts collapsing. The following day, the press and Minister of Mines arrive, promising Maria and the families to do everything possible to rescue the miners. And when he meets with the owner of the mine, he discovers that there is no way to know if they have survived, and that the instability of the mountain prevents sending a rescue team. The minister then tells the families about the situation, and Maria slaps him for breaking his promise. Meanwhile, in the mine, a conflict arises when Daria and other miners attempt to eat the limited supplies from the chest, since they have little hope of being rescued because they are at a depth that took 100 years to build. But Mario convinces them that their families and the government will save them. So Daria and the others return what they took and count it: 18 cans of tuna and some packs of cookies for the 33 miners. And they give Mario a key so he can manage the trunk with the provisions. Soon, an expert engineer and the minister take charge of the rescue mission and analyze the situation. There, they explain that the 33 are at a depth of 200 floors and that they are being blocked by a stuck rock which is the size of 12 buildings in Pyre Estates. So the excavation to get in will take at least 8 days. In addition to the miners' limited supplies, there's another issue. According to calculations, the drill can bend in 20 ways, reducing the probability of finding them to 1%. On day 3, Mario divides a liter of milk and some cookies among the 33 miners who are eating just once every 24 hours. Despite that, they still joke about it. If we get hungry, we'll eat the Bolivian. Outside the mine, large drilling machines are arriving for the rescue, and the families who set up tents there start to celebrate. Soon after, the 33 work to restore the electricity when they hear drilling into the mountain. And they're filled with hope because that means they're being searched for. On the 5th day, the rescue team discovers that the trapped rock is much stronger and the drills are getting damaged very quickly. The minister informs the families that the miners' fate remains unknown. They will continue the rescue operation and create a shelter with food stands and a school for the children. Maria then tells the minister she refuses to leave without her brother. Simultaneously, Dario suffers from withdrawal syndrome due to being without alcohol for several hours. To help him, one of his companions joins him in prayer. As days pass, we see the camp was organized as promised by the minister. The miner's wife, who has 2 women, fights with the mistress until she manages to get her to leave. At that moment, the miners gather to eat again, but this time they're eating half a spoonful of tuna each every 2 days, and a daily sip of water which turns out to be urine filtered in a way to make it drinkable. While there, they hear the nearby drill and start celebrating, but after a few minutes the noise slowly fades away because the machine took a wrong turn and veered off by 10 meters. Time keeps passing and it's now day 14. Don Francisco arrives at the mine to do his television show, making the news international. Mario discovers the Bolivian man holding a knife deep inside. After joking, he assures him not to be afraid, as no one will eat him while he's present. And finally, he gives him his flashlight. After this, Dario takes the opportunity to apologize to everyone for having stolen food on the first day. He offers cookie pieces he saved over recent days as a remorseful gesture. At that moment, everyone starts fantasizing about delicious food, their wives, lovers, and even their mothers. But outside, things get worse because the engineer cancels the rescue operation, since after 16 days there have been no results, although the minister does not agree. And that night, the families gather to sing and pray, making the engineer change his mind and return to the mission. With the minister, they realize the drill is going the wrong way and restart work immediately, avoiding further delays. The next day, the 33 are very weak due to the lack of water and food, so they help each other and pray to survive. At one point, Mario is awakened by a drop of water on his face, and when he looks up, he sees a drill right in front of his eyes. They shout to alert others that help has arrived, and the rest approach, trying to show they're alive. Then, on the surface, the minister starts to hear some knocks being made on the drill. When they pull it out, he sees the miners painted it and included a note. That note is read by the president on national television and says that the 33 miners are alive. Thanks to locating the miners' position, the government manages to send them cameras to communicate. And also special food, designed by National Aeronautics and Space Administration so that the 33 can recover the nutrients their bodies have lost since they were trapped. In addition to that, they receive shoes, iPods, projectors to see their families, and even adult movies. They also video call Chile's president, who promises to rescue them by Christmas. But when they say goodbye to him, they don't seem very happy with the promise. As time goes on, Mario's wife receives a lucrative proposal which they decide to keep under wraps. And Dario avoids talking to his sister, even though she's always in front of the camera waiting for him. On day 50, the operation halts due to complications. Meanwhile, the 33 learn from the newspaper that Mario was offered a book deal for an undisclosed sum. This makes everyone upset with him for keeping the secret. But Mario defends himself, saying that they are alive thanks to his help, even though he never asked to be in charge of the trunk supplies. Meanwhile, the president expresses frustration to the minister regarding the rescue's duration and the millions of dollars spent. And he tells him that his administration depends on the outcome of this operation. Dario approaches Mario to talk about his sister. Mario advises him to hug and forgive her when he's out, as she's his only family. Just then, another miner awakens and accuses the Bolivian of stealing his iPod. But he defends himself, calling it a lie, and pulls out a knife to attack. Then, Mario disarms him and shouts to everyone that an iPod, a promise of money, or newspaper gossip are not enough reasons to kill a man. Up there, everything is a circus, and from that cave, they'll emerge as the same simple miners who entered days ago. All understand his message, leading to a group hug. Meanwhile, authorities clear the rocks blocking the way. 8 days later, Lucha finds some support beams blocking the way, so he suggests removing them with a controlled explosion, even though it's a risk, because the mountain is unstable. But at this point, the 33 are ready to get out of there or die trying. So they work on that, while Alex's wife starts going into labor. And Johnny's lover gets her authorization to enter the shelter, making his wife leave upset. Soon after, the controlled explosion succeeds and the drill reaches them. Then they introduce us to the capsule called Phoenix, which will bring them up to the surface one by one. The mountain's continuous movement and potential for another collapse pose risks during the capsule's journey. So could the first one to try it die on the way, or be the only one to make it out? The decision of who it will be must be made among themselves. October 14th, 2010 arrives, and the capsule test begins. And the first to try is Alex, who quickly begins the journey upward. But at one point, the capsule stops and the experts decide to return it to the deepest point so that the oxygen doesn't run out. Seconds later, he manages to move the capsule, but loses contact with it. To everyone's surprise, Alex emerges on the surface unharmed and is greeted by his father and the rescue team to applause. And at that moment, he meets his newborn daughter. The second one to come up is Mario. Meanwhile, millions watch the live broadcast of the Miraculous Rescue as the miners reunite with their families, one by one. Then it's Dario's turn, who comes out eager to see his sister. But she is far from him, and when he tries to look for her to hug her, he can't find her. After hours pass, the president congratulates the minister for the mission on day 70. Dario finally locates his sister in the camp and they embrace, forgiving each other. The last one to be rescued is Lucho, who takes one last look at the mine. He went to his house in the last 2 months to say goodbye to her, between tears and laughter. This was the 33. Don't forget to comment which movie you'd like me to summarize, give it a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos.